today we're having a look at this. We're going to use it and spray the fence with it, well hopefully anyway. I've got the gun already connected, and we use tape on all the little connections, which of course is the plumber's tape. I've got a mask, and that's to keep the paint out of my lungs. I definitely don't want that getting there. I've got an old pair of goggles, which they're pretty ancient, but they'll do for eye protection. And I've got a hat on, of course, which is this thing here that keeps the sun out of my face. Now, because this is the first time I'm actually using it, all I've got inside is water, and in here is just straight water for the moment, and that'll be what I'll be using for the test spray to make certain I can get the pressure up to between 25 and 30 pounds per square inch, and I'll make certain that the compressor doesn't pump more than 50 pounds per square inch into the actual container. Otherwise we might have a bit of a problem there. So let's get on with it, and I'll just tighten these up. Now, as you can hear, we've got a bit of an air leak up in this area, bit here, and you can see we're dropping water out. Now that's the reason I wanted water in it initially rather than paint, so I can check all the connections to make certain I've got them up tight. I've just finished wrapping the tape, plumber's tape that is, around the threads here, and we'll be doing a test run on it shortly and checking for air leaks before I put paint in the actual pot. Now I've gone around and put extra tape on the spots that were leaking. We've got no air leaks at the moment, and that's the main reason why you use water first up rather than putting in paint, because if you spring a leak it's pretty messy. Now the next stage we're going to do is calibrate the actual handgun itself. Now, to set the pressure between 20 and 30 pounds per square inch, this little bit here we just turn in, and that's about 26 pounds per square inch. So lock the nut. We've got the handgun now, the actual spray gun. Top one will adjust whether we're going to spray in a fan or whether we're going to be in like a more confined sort of circle, I suppose you'd call it. A bit hard to see, but I think hopefully it'll show there. By adjusting that, we're adjusting the actual spray pattern, so we're getting a nice big fan on it. And the bottom one, we're just getting the volume so that we can get a nice consistent amount of paint going through the gun itself, rather than having it blow all over the place, which is something we really don't want to do. Now I'm pretty happy with the spray pattern I've got at the moment. I don't have any air leaks anywhere, and we've got no paint or water at this point oozing out from the actual pot itself. So the next stage will be to actually measure out a bit of paint, pop it in, and away we go. Now I will be using obviously a bit of cardboard down on the ground here to stop a bit of spray. This is actually a concrete area, and I'll be using over the top of the fence, I'll be using a little bit of a backboard to stop spray going over onto the neighbour. That's the last thing we want to do. Now the paint I've chosen to use, which is this, it's a fencing paint. It's 10 litres. You cannot use that straight into the pot. We have to water it down, so it's about a ratio of about 1 litre to 10 of this, so it's a 1 to 10 ratio. So I'm going to put roughly a litre in here, just under, and then top it up with the paint. And I'm just using a milk container, and just roughly a third. That'll do it. So we're just thinning it out so that the paint will work nicely. Well, I'll give it a bit of a stir. up to there, and stir it to mix it properly. And once I've mixed it, pressurise the pot and get started with the spray gun. As you can see, the pump's running nicely, pressure is building. Now I've just run the water that was in the lines and that through. We're ready to start painting now. I'm just giving it a bit of a quick test. I've got to get my pad over the top to stop spray from going over onto the neighbour, and away we go. I've run out of lead. I have to move this thing again. Well, I've given it a bit of a quick squirt. It's going to definitely need a second coat, but that gives you an idea of how the unit itself works. Pretty easy to paint, very happy so far. We'll find out with the finished job. Now, one other thing that I forgot to mention, because this is a raw fence, it hasn't had a coating of anything on it before, I'm using a paintbrush after the actual spray gun, and that's to work the paint into the timber, so we get a much better finish than just a straight spray. And pretty simple, obviously. I've already got the paint. Now I'm going to depressurise the tank, and to do that I'm going to disconnect the actual hose, the air hose, so that it's not going to be putting any pressure in there. And then I'm going to release the pressure valve. As you can see, the gauge up here is full. Okay, all the air has been released. Now it's just a matter of undoing these. And as you can see, there's not much left in there. Now I'm going to clean the pot up and clean all the hose and the gun, and that's pretty well it for the video. Because it's a water-based paint, I'll just clean this thing out with a bit of water. I'll give it a bit of a brush for a few seconds. And we'll run a bit of water through the lines and have to clean everything up. Now all I'm running through is just straight water, and as you can see, coming out clean. I've cleaned up the gun, cleaned up the hoses, and yeah, pretty happy with it.